Hey guys, how's it going? This is Brandon with the Five Wide Football Podcast, man. We are coming back with even more football content for you guys today. But before we go any further, man, I just want to thank all of the 22 subscribers we have right now. We're getting a lot of really good views, man, especially on the shorts, and I'm really grateful. So for anybody who's been liking the videos, anybody who's subscribed up to this point, leaving any comments, man, I just want to express how grateful and thankful I am. We're on the right track. It's going to be a grind for sure. But for all of you guys who like NFL content, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to drop a comment. I love feedback. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you don't miss a beat, as well as subscribing to the channel, man. If you love pro content, if you like college content, if you like tier lists, stuff like that, definitely check us out. We're still new. We're still in the early stages, but we're growing. We're grinding. And I'm looking to make big strides here in the month of February. So, hey, buckle up your seatbelt. Let's get ready to go. So, if you guys have been laying on the rock somewhere, if you guys don't know, the NFL season has concluded. College season is finished. So now we're in the off season leading up to like the draft, a lot of signing days and things like that. So I don't have weekly content with like games going on. Maybe we can do maybe like the UFL and stuff when like that gets started. But as of right now, we're going to continue a series we started recently. If you guys haven't seen it already, I have a top 10 NFL quarterbacks of all time list that we haven't uploaded recently, as well as a top 10 NFL wide receivers list all time. And I really recommend y'all go check it out. Like I said in the other videos, this video is going to be the top 10 NFL tight ends of all time. And like the other ones, it's not solely based off of statistics. It's not solely based off of championship success, playoff success. There's so many other things that go into account when players get injured, get put in bad situations, teams where they can't fully excel. There's so many other things that go in mind. So I try to look at everything as a whole, as a complete body of work when I make these lists. But before we get into our top 10 list, I have a list of about 6, 7 guys who are honorable mentions who maybe you have them in your top 10 list, maybe you don't, but I just wanted to give credit to them where it's due. So if I'm going to start off, I'm going to start off with Dave Casper, all-time great with the Raiders back in the day. It was LA or Oakland, I forget which one, but he was really good. Greg Olsen, man, really good TV commentator now, but man, he was a dog for the Chicago Bears and the Carolina Panthers back in the day. I've got Vernon Davis, man, one of my favorite tight ends growing up with the San Francisco 49ers. Really athletic, great hands, big, strong. I've got Ben Coates. He was a New England Patriot. I'm a Patriots fan. He was really good in the 90s as well. One guy who, like, every time I've seen these lists, he would fall back into the 20s, but I feel like he's a lot better than what people give him credit for, and that's Dallas Clark, man. All-time Indianapolis Colts, great, man, with Peyton Manning, man. Dallas Clark, really good hands, very reliable. And Jackie Smith, man, I know a lot of people give him flack for the drop when he was with the Cowboys in that Super Bowl. But, man, Jackie Smith as a whole, a Hall of Famer, really good tight end, and he's made my honorable mentions list, man. But now, this is the moment of truth. Notebook, guys. Return to the notebook. Do your research. Write notes. Best way to make videos. So, we're going to get into this top 10 list, man. Like I said, it's not going to be cookie cutter. It's not going to be based off everything else. It might be similar to what you guys have seen. Might be a little bit different. But if we're going to get into our top 10, number 10, man, I've got good old reliable, man. Jason Witten. All-time Cowboys great, man. They call him old reliable for a reason, man. Reliable, consistent. Not injured that much. Really reliable hands, man. Good blocker. One of the last, I think I've seen an article, one of the last like old school tight ends, but still racked up yards, man. He had over 13,000 yards, 74 touchdowns, but he was just really good at blocking, man. Whoever was in Dallas, most of the time it was Tony Romo, but Dak Prescott, well, he was just that reliable safety, and that man always open. You knew he was going to catch the ball. You could throw it in the trap. You could throw it anywhere, and you know Jason Witten's going to catch the ball and get you to move the chains. For sure, man. Not that many people talk about him, and a lot of people don't consider him top 10, but honestly, man, like statistics alone, I feel like he's top 10, but I just feel like his consistency wasn't hurt that often, like I said before, and he was just so reliable. Clutch, man. Didn't drop the ball much. I've got Jason Witten at number 10. Now, for some of you old heads, we're going to go back to a guy who I feel like really helped revolutionize the tight end position. And that's John Mackey, man. Baltimore Colts, great from back in the day, man. Finished his career with over 5,000 yards receiving, 38 touchdowns, man. A 5-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time All-Pro. Some of those numbers you see and you're like, well, those aren't really Hall of Fame worthy, but like back in late 60s, early 70s, man, The John Mackey Award in college was named after him for a reason. The guy's a legend. He was really good in an era where the NFL was trying to transition into one to be a passing league, but not just that, like tight ends weren't really much of receivers before that. Mostly run packages, blocking, stuff like that. John Mackey was one of those early tight ends who just really helped revolutionize the position. It was really good, man. I mean, when you get into old eras like that, you don't really hear about tight ends like that, especially being that far back. But man, John Mackey, legend, man. College legend, pro legend, really good tight end. Give credit where it's due. Now, if we go down to number 8, I feel like this is another guy who really helped revolutionize the position. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Super Bowl champion as a coach and a player. I'm talking Mr. Mike Ditka. Mike Ditka, man, tight end for the Bears. He won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys, man. Almost 6,000 yards receiving. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler and a 2-time All-Pro, man. Mike Ditka was really good. Like, everybody knows him for obviously coaching the 85 Bears and then later on coaching the Saints where they ended up trading their entire draft for Ricky Williams. But Mike Ditka was tough as nails, man. Good handed. He was just strong and just tough, man. Just get down the trenches, man. Get hit. It didn't matter. Like, he was going to get you first downs. He was going to get you catches. And in an era where, like I said before, like tight ends weren't utilizing the pass game nearly as well. And Mike Ditka was one of those guys who just could get it done. Doesn't get talked about enough as a player, but I want to give him credit where it's due, man. I've got Mike Ditka at number 8 on my list. Now, seems like we're kind of keeping it old school for a while until we get maybe a little more recent down the line. But number 7, man, I've got a guy who really stood out in his time playing. He was a heck of a general manager in the NFL as well. I'm talking Mr. Ozzie Newsome. Mr. Ozzie Newsome finished his career with over 600 receptions for almost 8,000 yards, 47 touchdowns, a 3-time Pro Bowler, and a 1-time All-Pro, man. Ozzie Newsome was that guy. He was just everywhere. Great hands, always gets open, man. I feel like this is an era where tight ends really took off. And with the 70s, really good for the Cleveland Browns back in the day, man. Like, really another guy who just does not get talked about that much. Like, we talk about tight ends nowadays and how their pass catches and that's. The only reason you have a lot of these guys we're going to get into here pretty soon are because of guys like Ozzie Newsome, man. He was just really good. Dude, he had really good hands. Always open, man. He racked almost 8,000 yards in a time where the tight end position was still in development. Obviously, you had some of these teams like the Browns, the Chargers, teams that were starting to really open it up and throw the ball around. And Ozzie Newsome's a Hall of Famer, man. And, man, not to mention he was a really good general manager for the Baltimore Ravens. Ended up, when they won 2 Super Bowls, he was a GM running those teams. And, I mean, give credit where it's due, man. Ozzie Newsome, really good tight end, really good human being, heck of a general manager, man. I've got him at number 7. Now, number 6 on this list, his son ended up being a pro player, got into some legal trouble. But we're not going to get into that. He was good nonetheless, but this guy came up in that same era as Ozzie Newsome, man. Racked up a lot of really good stats, man. He was just a really good catcher, man. Really great tight end, man. I'm going with Mr. Kellen Winslow. Kellen Winslow was a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro for those Chargers teams back in the 70s, man. And he was really good. Like, really good. And I think he gets overshadowed by a lot of these newer tight ends because the statistics are a lot higher. But like I said before, like, these guys really helped revolutionize to help tight ends get those kind of statistics where they were getting those kinds of targets, where they weren't just hands in the dirt on the line of scrimmage, blocking and pass plays, play action, run play, stuff like that. These guys really helped open up for the tight ends. Like, no, you can really throw them the ball. Like, they're a receiver. Like, yeah, they can block and they can get out and, like, they can do all that. But these guys really help change the position to where it's like, no, like, I can throw to the tight end as much as a receiver if I really have to. I mean, Kellen Winslow, Hall of Famer, man. Like, almost 7,000 yards receiving, 45 touchdowns, almost 550 receptions. Like, he was really good. And those Chargers teams could really score points and move the ball up and down the field. Doesn't get talked about enough, man. I feel like we really need to give credit to a lot of these older guys who really paved the way for a lot of the really good guys we're about to get into. But this is where things can kind of, I don't find it's as controversial as like the quarterback list or the receiver list, because I don't find tight ends like they get talked about, but I don't feel like they get enough credit for like what they do. And I don't find tight ends have to block as much as they did maybe 15, 20 years ago, because they're being utilized in the pass game even more. But nonetheless, man, this top five, like, I feel like the top three is solidified, but I feel like anywhere between like 5, 4, and 3 can kind of get moved around. So if you guys disagree, man, drop a comment below, man. Who do you guys have in your top 5 greatest NFL tight ends of all time? I want to know if you guys have the same list as me. Maybe I'm missing somebody. Maybe there's some people you would move around. Man, I would love some feedback, man. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think, how you guys feel about my list up to this point, and who do you guys have in your top 5? So, a lot of these guys, I've actually gotten to watch. Now, this number 5, he's still playing. He's the only guy on this list that's still actively playing up to this point, and his statistics are crazy. To say he's probably got a lot left in the tank up to this point. And number 5, I've got Travis Kelce, Mr. Swifty himself. Dude, Travis's numbers are nuts. Travis has got 907 receptions for over 11,000 yards and 74 touchdowns, man. 9-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, and not to mention he's got 3 Super Bowl rings, man. Now, obviously, you're in the middle of a dynasty right now. Andy Reid, you've got Patrick Mahomes. But, man, Kelce just kind of like, not to the same extent, but I guess you could say how Jason Witten was that safety net. Well, that's Travis Kelce times like 20. I mean, the guy's really athletic, man. Good speed, strong, great hands. Really good route runner, too, man. Just knows how to get open. He's a hard guy to cover, man. And when you got Mahomes, who's been with him since he's been in the league, like, Kelce is always going to be open. Kelce's always going to get targets. He's always going to pad stat. And I'm not going to say, like, the stats don't lie. They don't lie. He's really good. And to say he's got 5 or more years left for sure. He's going to blow a lot of these guys statistically out of the water. And he's probably going to find himself inside the top 3 without a shadow of a doubt, man. It helps when you have a possible GOAT quarterback throwing you the ball. But I'm not going to take that away from him, man. He was still really good with the limited time he played with Alex Smith when he was like in his first couple of years in the league. Really athletic, consistently good, man. Can't knock him. I'm going to give him credit. I've got Travis Kelce at number 5. Okay. This guy I've got number 4. Very popular guy nowadays. A lot of people don't even seem to talk about as much as he was playing. They care for him now as like a TV personality, or I guess like in the analyst role. And I'm talking about we talking about Unc. Shannon Sharpe, man. All-time Denver Bronco great, man. Dude, this guy was so big and strong and fast, and he could catch. No wonder John Elway had so much fun throwing to him for all those years, man. Shannon Sharpe finished with over 800 receptions for over 10,000 yards, 62 touchdowns. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, 2 with the Broncos, 1 with Baltimore Ravens. He's got he's an 8-time Pro Bowler and a 4-time first-team All-Pro. Dude, like, this guy was just so strong. And the crazy thing is he's such a big body, so you can't put like a safety on him. You can't put a linebacker on him because he's too fast. It's like a cheat code. Because once he gets to that second level, it's like who's gonna cover him? Are you gonna throw him in double coverage? Like you're not gonna have him one-on-one with a backer. And then it's like, yeah, a corner or a safety can stay on him, but they're not big enough to be able to bring him down consistently. He's just a big body, strong, reliable hands. Like that, like, man, he was just a cheat code. And no wonder John Elway had success throwing the ball around with a guy who was as reliable as him, man. And he was just consistent. To say he came from an itty-bitty college, man, worked his butt off into getting himself a gold jacket, and to say he thinks that his brother Sterling is even better than him. I mean, they got some really good athletic genes in that family, man. But for sure, man, Shannon Sharpe, really funny TV personality, but a hell of a football player, bro. Like, just Hall of Famer, bro. There's not too much that you can say about him at this point, but if I had to just say something, man, great hands, big body, strong, and I guess it was really hard for defenses to scheme against him without him carving them up. Because obviously Denver had a run game, but I got to imagine it must have been a pain in the butt trying to draw up schemes to where you could cover him consistently, especially over the middle or whatever they wanted to do. But, man, I've got Shannon Sharpe at number 4. Top 3. This is kind of where I feel like 2 and 3 you can interchange based on preference or how you view things. At number 3, man, I've got Antonio Gates, former basketball player. So he's already really athletic, could jump, he can catch. His stats are unreal, man. 955 catches for 11,841 yards and 116 touchdowns. Antonio Gates has got 8 Pro Bowls and 3 first-team All-Pros. Nobody could stop them. When Phillip Rivers and him got moving, this is an era where the Chargers offenses were just always prolific. Like, think of when North Turner were running them offenses with Phillip Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, Darren Sproles, Antonio Gates. I think later in his career, Keenan Allen, and Antonio Gates was his favorite target, bro. And you could not stop him because he was fast. And his vertical, like I said before, he played basketball. So he could get up there and hit those jump balls, like those corners and those safeties, man. Like a big body like that, but he can jump up there with the best of them. And he could catch. I mean, like you guys say, he's used to catching a basketball. So he already can catch a football really good. But the fact that he can high point and get it where no one else can get it, he's got deceptive speed. Like, Antonio Gates, man, very underrated. And nobody talks about how good nobody could stop him. Like, he was just consistently good, man. Like, consistently good. And the Chargers were always in the hunt in the AFC that just could never get over the hump. I mean, I think they went 13-3 a year. I think 14-2 another year. They were dominant on offense. Like, their defenses weren't bad, but their offense was unstoppable. And like I said before, with Phillip Rivers and him got rolling, dude, that's a wrap. You're not containing that. You're not stopping that. He's just too fast. And Phillip Rivers is going to put it in a place that only Antonio Gates can get it. And when Phillip Rivers' favorite target, he's going to rack up on yards, he's going to rack up on touchdowns, and you're going to have a really long day as a defense trying to guard that guy. Hall of Famer, man, I don't know if he's been inducted into the Hall of Fame yet. I didn't research that. If he hasn't, he needs to be in there because he definitely deserves it without a shadow of a doubt. I've got him at number 3. So I feel like you guys kind of know where I'm going with this. I'm not showing bias when I make this list. But guy number 2, man, he played on my favorite team, man. I've got Rob Gronkowski, the Gronk, at number 2, man. Gronk, like I say, cheat code. Gronk was so huge. But like a lot of people always get stuck on his crazy personality. But his football IQ is really, really high. Very smart in the film room, but just big and strong and crazy hands, man. I've seen, I don't know how many times over the shoulder, like these one-handed catches, these catches in traffic. He's in double coverage, and he's coming down with the times putting it in a place, and Gronk's got to go out and get it. He's catching it consistently. Heck of a freaking blocker, man. Trying to freaking get past a big guy like that and make a play. Like, I remember watching, I think one of those first times we played the Colts, because we would just consistently beat them. And him and a guy on defense, I forgot guy's name, but they kept going back and forth until the point where Gronk just couldn't take it anymore. And this is what I mean when big body blocking somebody. Guy got a hold of him and drove him like 30 yards down the field onto the sideline and put him into the ground. I mean, that's hard-nosed football, man. That's tight end. Like, when I think tight end, I think of Rob Gronkowski. Yes, he can catch, and he's athletic, and he is strong. But he was a hell of a blocker. Knew how to freaking make holes. Just big body, bro. And I mean, had limited playing time in college, and Belichick and those guys took a chance on him, and he turned into a Hall of Famer. Imagine what his stats would have been like if he hadn't battled a lot of the injuries he battled. Like, his statistics would have been much higher. He would have had an even better resume. But even with limited playing time, with the injuries, stats say it for itself, man. The film shows it for itself, man. I've got Rob Gronkowski at number 2. You guys all know who number 1 is going to be. I'm just going to get right to it. It's Tony Gonzalez, man. One thing that a lot of these tight ends had that Tony Gonzalez did not have consistently was great quarterback play. Yeah, he had Trent Green early on, like a good little piece of his career in Kansas City. And then at the end of his career, when he got traded to Atlanta, he had Matt Ryan. But, dude, he put up stats regardless of who was throwing the ball. It didn't matter if it was Chad Henne. It didn't matter if it was Matt Castle. It didn't matter if it was Matt Ryan, Trent Green, whatever. Dude, Tony Gonzalez, over 1,300 receptions, over 15,000 yards, 111 touchdowns, 14 Pro Bowls, and 6-time first-team All-Pros. Another former basketball player, man. Crazy athletic, can go up and get those high point balls, man. There's very few times you've ever seen Tony Gonzalez drop a ball. Like, you just don't see it. It just didn't matter where the ball was at. Double coverage, over the middle, in the red zone, down the sideline, it didn't matter. And the crazy thing is, imagine if he would have played with a guy like, let's say if he had John Elway like Shannon Sharpe had. Imagine his stats if he had a guy like that throwing him the ball. That's the crazy part. He put up crazy stats with not the greatest quarterback play for a large portion of his career and still put up Hall of Fame legendary GOAT numbers. I just think like all these other guys put up really good stats or really good quarterbacks, but I feel like his testament for him being the GOAT is that he put up these crazy stats over 15,000 yards, over 100 touchdowns, 1,300 receptions, all these all-pros with not great quarterback play. It didn't matter who was snapping the ball back there. It didn't matter who was throwing it. He was going to go out and get his. I've got Tony G at number one. Tony Gonzalez, man, I love you, man. You're an awesome player. I hope you get your credit where it's due, man. I really wish you've gotten to play with a better quarterback consistently. But nonetheless, Hall of Fame career. Kudos to you, my friend. Guys, that is my personal top 10 NFL tight ends of all time. Like I said before, drop some comments below, man. Who do you have top 5? Who is your number 1? Do you have somebody else other than Tony Gonzalez number 1? If you do, I really want to know, and I want to know your reason why, because like I just don't see any scenario where he's not number 1. But having fun doing these videos, guys. It's really fun. I don't know if maybe we'll try to do another running back video. Maybe we'll continue the series, or maybe we'll start getting into like the draft, recruiting. We have EA College Football 25 coming out pretty soon. Maybe I'll make a video about that because that is something that I'm passionate about, and I also want to see what happens with that as well. But like I said before, if you guys are not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this video if you like this kind of content. Don't forget to leave a comment. And man, if you already subscribed, hit the bell notification so you don't miss a beat. Anytime I drop a video, shorts, anything like that, that will make sure that you never miss any content and you can stay up to date on everything I put out consistently. But man, I'm grateful. Thank you guys for the ones who have been here on the ride. And if you're not and you're just getting in, man, strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride, man. This is Brandon with the 5 Wide Football Podcast signing off. And y'all have a great day.